Beth Sackerson from the WISPA Education Council. We are on part 3 of drumming for tenors. This will entail looking at the triplets, 6/8s, and 2/2s. So triplets are when we cram 3 notes in the space of 2, much like me into my clothes. When the triplet takes the place of a quarter note, it is expressed with a grouping of 3/8 notes with the number 3 under it like this, or with a tie and a number 3 like this. I like the first one for tenors because the tie above the notes gets in the way of my flourish notations. This measure is counted triplet 2, triplet 4, or you can also say 1-0-lit 2, 3-0-lit 4. Some people will use the words blueberry pie in order to create the correct spacing. That is a great idea, whatever it takes. More commonly, we see the triplet as a group of 16th notes taking up the space of 1/8 note. You can still use blueberry to help count this, but just observe that the last note falls on the and instead of the beat. To get this spacing into your brain and muscle memory, it really helps to use the metronome. You can use a triplet subdivision like this to help keep you on track. Be very careful about the placement of the 4th note. People like myself tend to play this late if they're not paying attention. Make sure this hits either on the beat or on the and, whichever phrase you're playing. Here I'm setting the metronome to 60 with that triplet subdivision. I am going to alternate my hands, but you can keep it on the same hand if you want to. The idea is just to get the phrasing into your mind. Ready, go. Now I've set my metronome to 120 with the same triplet subdivision. 1, 2, ready, go. Now we're going to move into a completely different time signature called the 6/8s. As you know from the last video, there are 6 beats per measure, but now the 8th note is what gets the beat. You can think of it like this and count all 6 beats, but that is really tedious. Thus, the 6/8s are usually counted 1, 2. So it has that triplet feel in the background. Now you could count it as 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, but most people don't bother. They just do 1, 2. For the sake of this video, let's call those the big beats. Technically, they're on beat 1 and 4, but we're going to say 1 and 2. There are 2 ways to set your metronome. Both are going to use 60 beats per minute as our tempo. You can set the time signature to 6/8 and put on the 8th note subdivision. Although technically this is not a subdivision, it's the actual beat. Also, these 8th notes are not triplets as we just defined, in that we're not cramming 3 notes into the space of 2 like we did before. However, since it's a grouping of 3 notes, we still use the term triplet. This is just how my metronome works. Another way to set your metronome is to keep the time signature as a 1/4 like I have been doing, but change the subdivision to triplets, in this case, actual triplets. I like the second way because then I get the higher pitch on the big beats of 1 and 2. Moving on, the quarter note is now worth 2 beats because it's still worth 2 8th notes. So this measure is played 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Dotted quarter notes are now worth 3 beats, or 3/8 notes. This would be played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, if we're using the big beats. Rest follow the same pattern as their respective notes. Dot cuts can also occur, and they follow the same rules as before, in that the duration of the dotted note is increased by half its original value. Usually you will see the dotted 8th note with a 16th note. The first note in this case falls on beat 1, the 3rd note falls on beat 3, and the 2nd falls between beat 2 and 3. Now the 6/8 idiom or expression is more pointed than what is mathematically written, so the middle note might drift closer to the 3rd note. This is another case in which you have to listen to your snares and match them. Here's a little exercise to help get the 6/8 into your brain. One, two. Last but not least, we have the 2/2s or cut time. This can be denoted either with a 2/2 or a C with a line down it. With cut time, there are 2 beats per measure, and now the half note gets the beat. This means there are 4 quarter notes per measure, so it looks like it's a 4/4, right? Yet, since the half note is what makes the beat, this would actually be counted as 1 and 2 and. Quarter notes are now counted like eighth notes, and eighth notes are counted like 16th notes. Although this sounds confusing, our brains can do this fairly easily, as long as you know the relationship between the notes. Many people don't bother counting it as 1 and 2 and, they'll just count it like a 4/4. So if you set your metronome to 60, the time signature to a 1/4, and a subdivision to eighth notes, you can either count 1 and 2 and, or 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on your mood. Well, that is all for this video. In our next video, we're going to be working on the drum pads. We're going to be doing exercises to help improve our playing.